Mostly. Yeah, it's trying to dabble a little more in the multifamily. What's that? What drew me here? Just opportunity to connect with people, see what people are doing. You can always learn something new. And it's not too far from the house.
You live around W or?
Yeah, I did actually. Yeah. Crossroads area.
Oh shit.
Yeah. It wasn't like how it was 20 years ago.
Yeah. Shit. Downtown Bellevue was like a one-story mall.
Oh yeah, just been off bigger pockets sometimes. Just trying to learn. Yeah.
It's the interest. Good job there.
So I don't know, like,
Are you guys broadcasting?
Yes.
No, that's all good.
Yeah, right, we got this, fine, don't worry about
yeah. What do we got? We got these 3 seats right now. There's a couple over there.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, we're gonna take this table out. Make a little bit of room.
No, you can't, John.
Where's the when you need him? He's working out. Yeah.
Oh, it's true, I did lift the stools.
Yeah, right. See, bit. Got it.
To your back. You can't come back twice in a month.
Why not?
I can't know that. Hey, I appreciate seeing your face. How's everyone doing?
Good. Good. How are you?
Good. We got a full house. We need a bigger office. We actually just leased another office down the road for our construction team, and we thought we had more room, and now we're I guess hitting the max. Well, I'm glad Andy came back. How many times have you been to this meeting?
I don't know a lot.
That's good. He's
20, 30, yeah, something like that.
I said Garrett has to stay till 11 o'clock with you tonight.
Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe we can hit up 24-hour fitness.
He looks like that's all he does. Cool. Well, you guys, everyone, thanks for coming in. Just so you know, we have a live broadcast going, but don't worry about it. Hopefully I stay where I'm supposed to stay. Just a quick introduction. I'm James Dainard. For those who don't know me, we're going to go over our Investor 101 class. I go over a lot of information, so I'm going to get going pretty quick. The purpose of this class really is to show you guys how we underwrite deals, how we look at opportunities, and then how we do business. If you guys want to move forward doing business with us, like the process, how we work, and then all the services that come along with how we do business at that point. There is a lot of other free educational stuff that comes onto our website, HeatonDainard.com. One thing I want to point out, we have a 4-part series on construction management. I would highly recommend everybody downloads and listens to that. I spent a lot of time on that. It goes through lots of different systems, and we'll be constantly putting this stuff out as far as informational things. In addition to, after you guys have a survey in there. If you fill out the survey and it says you want to continue to do business, we'll reach out to you, but also we'll update you. We're going to be doing more stuff monthly on doing walkthroughs at properties. So you guys can all come check out what we're working on, finished product. The next one will be at our farmhouse flip that we just listed for like 3.2 million. So it's a little bit higher caliber, and we'll be breaking all that stuff down too. So we're really trying to focus 2023 on like just getting what we're doing and then educating everybody and giving them out as much information as possible. So, and you guys, anytime during the presentation, if you have a question, go ahead and just raise your hand. All good by me. So, I want to thank everyone for coming in. Just real quick, how did everyone find it? Like, did you guys find us online, or was it because we're bugging you on the phones, or Quasi right there? He's good on the phones.
Instagram.
Instagram?
You do.
The gram? Good. Yeah. Well, hopefully what we're doing is a good thing. And, we'll keep putting it out there. So we're going to dive right into this because I don't want to keep you guys here till midnight. We'll do that sometimes, especially with Andy. So quick background of who we are. So me and my business partner, Will Heaton, we've been partners in real estate now since 2005. So nearly 18 years now. How we got started in the business, we got in at the same time. We started working as wholesalers or deal finders for a local investment company. We would go out, we had no background in real estate. We were just sales guys, and they gave us a stack of leads, and we had to go try to figure out how to get those people to sell to this investment company. So that was how we kind of cut our teeth in the business. I was not very good at that job for the first year. I managed to do 0 transactions, but it taught me a lot. We learned a lot, and then we started wholesaling a lot of deals. We became guys that were known around town. We went from doing 0 deals to like 10 to 20 deals a month. And so we were the guys that knew how to get a good buy. From there, we started fixing and flipping a lot of properties. We started learning those processes. And then we launched our own formal business the month before subprime mortgages went away. And so we got into our new office, and then the whole real estate market collapsed, which was probably the best and the worst thing that's ever happened to me. The worst thing is I lost all my money, and I learned a lot of hard lessons. I learned about leverage. Don't over leverage.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, we all did.
Yeah.
That was the liar loans. Yeah. At Red Robin, I had a lot of loans.
Stated income.
Yeah, exactly. Write down your income and you can get a loan. But it was also the best thing that happened because during that time, it was really hard. A lot of people left the market, and a lot of people were not buying real estate. Real estate was like leprosy to them. Like it didn't matter what you had. We could tie up a house for $1, and it took us a week to sell that thing. And so, and kind of where I'm going with that is that's where we kind of realized that it wasn't just about the deal you found. It was about the services you provide and how you help and mitigate risk for clients. And so we were really good at finding that deal. But then if everyone was too freaked out to buy it, or it was too complex to buy it, we had to come up with these services. And that's what we're going to talk about. So between the two of us, Will runs the Intrust funding and our development in our syndicating business. He does kind of the operations there. He's more in the background, does all the underwriting. So as you guys hear from Intrust funding, he kind of makes all the calls. He does all approvals too. So we don't use appraisers. He's the one making the call at that point. He has an extensive background in just development of rehabilitations on properties. And like I said, he kind of runs point on interest funding. My background is I'm more upfront. So I'm working with the brokerage, the off-market team, our fix and flip properties, the buy and hold investors. And so working with more of the clients on the day-to-day duties at that point. Since founding our company about 15 years ago, we went from barely making it to it's grown into creating multiple businesses that can help investors execute in real estate. So we provide the deal. We can provide them with the money if you guys need it. You don't have to use it. And then our listing team actually comes together to help with the design, the spec, and just overall services to help you mitigate that risk and control your construction costs. And that's when our business kind of exploded, when we started offering people more service, what traditional brokers do. Because we're not just going to be out here trying to sell you a deal. There's tons of shops out there. If you just want to buy a property, there's shops that will do that. We have a vested interest in you guys doing well, right? Because on our fix and flip or development, when we're selling that package, we're giving you guys a plan. You don't have to use that plan, but it's a plan that we feel is credible and it works. And if that plan goes wrong, that means it's going wrong for us too. And so we like to think of ourselves as partners, not just brokers in the deal, because, we sell the property and then we do the listing down the road. But we can put in all this services and help people for 6 to 9 months work on their house. And if it doesn't work well, we end up taking a haircut too. And so that's why our business has done so well, because we work with investors. We understand the product. Everything that we sell out of our brokerage is stuff that I buy personally myself. We do not sell stuff that we don't know how to execute on. And that is another thing that we feel really proud about. We want to be able to give everybody an investment plan, not just numbers on a paper. So since founding the brokerage, we were deal guys. We started lending the money. We're fix and flip, teaching people how to do it. We founded the brokerage because we knew people needed to dispo off their properties. The way that we could help them by offering these services we're talking about is we had to get a real estate commission to pay for the staff behind it to help. And so since 2010, we've sold over 3,500 properties to investors just like yourselves. We've done over $1 billion in transactions with investors, and we've designed and sold over 2,000 homes now. So we understand renovation. We understand what sells, what doesn't sell. And all the plans that we put on things are how I would do it. Again, you don't have to do that plan, but if I was to buy that property, that's the way we're putting it together. So what our brokerage does, it does 3 main things. It sources properties on and off market. We don't really care where the property comes from. We care about the numbers. And so we have an internal team called Buck Buys Houses that we're sending mail on, calling, door knocking, just generating deal flow. Our acquisition team is constantly combing the MLS to where as soon as things get listed. They are underwriting, comping, driving, and we are getting offers on those properties within a very tight window. The reason we do that is because we're trying to secure the deal immediately, just so it doesn't get bid up and out of control. Then once we secure that property, we're going to run a full property analysis. And that's going to be, we're going to look at where is highest and best use for this property. Is it fixing and flipping it? Is it keeping it for a year and selling it later? Is it keeping it as a rental property? And then we're going to put all of our analysis on there. During that time, we're going to pull comparables. Rent comparables, fixed up comparables, as is comparables. So you get a full, clear picture of what's going on. And that's really, really important. When you guys, who gets deal flow from other outside companies? How good is usually like the bullet points on those? It's pretty.
It's high level.
Yeah.
You do it from a wholesaler that's within kind of the top level details.
Yeah, it's just like, hey, you can buy this for this, and here's your range of comps, and like it's worth $400,000 to $500,000. As an investor, you got to go, well, is it worth 400 or is it worth 500? Right. And so what we want to do is we want to mitigate the risk, and we're going to really break down the property, and we'll go into that in a second. And then once you buy the property, the main difference between us is we're going to work with you all the way after. So once you buy that property, we don't go away unless you tell us to go away. So our team is set up and they're geared up to help you guys not just sell the properties, but execute the plan. Yep.
Are any of the execution services any different with a flip versus a BRRRR, where you're not maybe getting the sale on the back end? You know what I mean? Like your internal agents aren't getting the commission necessarily right away unless you sell the BRRRR down the road.
Yeah. So what we asked is to like, hey, if you ever do sell the rental or trade you out, we'll sell it. But no, you get the same service. Okay. Yeah. No, for us, Because if we sell a bird property to somebody and then they get all upside down on it,
Right.
that just means they have to leave more cash in that deal. So we want to protect your guys' investment just as closely as you do, because we want you guys to be
Get more business.
10 deals with you guys, not just one. So yes, you'll get the same services and resources for those, for sure. Yeah, and you guys, the best birds need the most amount of work. So it's yeah. So we're gonna work with you guys all the way through that process. You can use them as little as you want or as much, and we'll go into that more in a second. So our services that we do, we provide acquisition and purchasing services. We do all the underwriting. We're pulling the comparables, the metrics behind the deal. One thing I want to point out, we will give you contractor referrals. I want to say that with a disclaimer though. These are not people that work for us or pay us any money. We get 0 referral fees from people that we refer out. Mortgage people, contractors. These are people that we've vetted. We've checked their bonds. We've checked their licenses. Our clients have given us referrals. We've worked with them personally. But that doesn't mean that they're always going to do good business. I've had tons of contractors that I've worked with for 5, 6, 7, 10 years. And I thought they were like family, and then they blow up. And so we like to put that disclaimer in there because we can't control another business. We'll definitely be able to watch it with you and be like, oh, we got a problem here. Yep.
Sorry, I got a ton of questions, but so I've heard you on different podcasts and stuff talk about how you put together a spreadsheet, especially with a lot of the contractors.
Yep.
You go line item, right? Which is amazing. Is that anything that we have access to, or you kind of give us a range just to make sure that we know that the contractors are charging this appropriate amount?
You guys are going to get, every deal comes with that sheet.
Okay.
And the cool thing is we are working on this badass sheet right now and scheduler and interactive for our clients. So if you guys buy a deal, you're going to have access to this. You can use it on any type of project where you can move things around a lot more too. We hired a developer to help us build this out. So we're hoping to have it done in about 4 weeks. But then, yes, it's going to be an interactive tool that the clients can use.
You do an amazing job with that, honestly. I mean, that's one of the things I think that sets you apart from a lot of the other guys in the area. It's just the amount of attention to detail that you do.
Yep.
Is unbelievable. So.
Yeah, and it comes down to, we're just trying to get you guys a baseline. Like, hey, we came up, if we're going to say, if we came up with the value of property, we can tell you how, right? We have these 4 comparables. They look like this. We're trying to get to this bed bath count. The construction is always that variable for you. It's $100,000. Well, how did you come up with $100,000? So we'll at least break it down for you, and then you guys can actually take it and go, okay, well, your $100,000 is really 120 for me, or maybe it's 80 for the other guy. But we'll at least give you the baseline of how we came up with the number. But yes, you'll have access to all that information. And then we're going to set you guys up with financing. All of our deals require cash or hard money to close on the fix and flip or the kind of value add burger properties. The reason we can get those discounts is that's how we've set up the contracts. No appraisals, especially on our off market, they're competitive. And if we're telling the seller there's no appraisals, we can't have appraisers come in there because that's not how we set the deal up. That's also how we're getting these massive discounts on the properties. Quick closes, not a lot of contingencies in there. All the referrals, we have Intrust funding in-house. They have approved every deal. We'll talk about that a little bit down the road too. In addition to, we're going to set you guys up with numerous different mortgage professionals. We're always talking and working with different ones. We get paid 0 referral fees. The only people that we're referring out are people that we know understand you guys as investors. A mortgage professional working with homeowner is a lot different than an investor's books. And the guy with the cheapest rate sometimes will string along a refi, and then if you're paying expensive money, the cost gets washed out. And so we're just working with people that understand your guys' business. We refer them out that. We have a couple mortgage people, a couple local banks, different types of portfolio lenders. And so you guys will get you all those as well. And then design services are all included with our listings. So now that we kind of give you guys an overview, we're going to jump into how we do deals. But the first thing I want to recap on this. Who in here has not done a heavy fixer deal or a rehab deal in general? Okay, so a big group of you guys. And this is important. We want to sell you guys something, but we want to make sure you guys are ready for it first. We're not pushy salespeople at our office. For us, because we're with you guys the whole way through, it's much better if we make sure that you guys are set up right before you buy that property.
Just wanted to find out what's the portfolio lending. You just mentioned it a little bit ago.
Oh, well, yeah, I can talk to you about it afterward. Yeah, like you guys, there's a couple local banks we refer people out. Like First Savings National is a really good bank. A Coastal Community Bank's a good one as well. but we can definitely get that to you. All right, so before you jump in, we want to make sure that you guys start looking for these items, right? Where we can do well, we can refer you people, but also if you have people coming in, we'll help you train these people. The best, in my opinion, the contractors that you know personally or have a referral in are going to work best with you. And then we can help mold them and plug in subs for you guys, or we can get you other referables. But what I always tell people before they buy that first deal, and trust me, I learned this the hard way. I bought my first major fixer in 2007. I had only done condos before. I was doing time and materials. A good buddy of mine was doing the project. He wasn't trying to burn me, but it ended up burning me. You know, we had a budget. It went double over the budget. The market crashed. I lost all my money because I didn't know how to control that site. I should have been done with that project 4 months before the market even crashed. And I should have done it for half that price that I was in. And so my bad systems created a very bad situation for me. It wasn't really the deal in the market. But all you guys want to start going out and networking with 2 reliable contractors, just generals, just talking to them, get them, explain where your business model is, go to meetup groups, talk to different investors. We'll get you referrals too. 2 reliable subcontractors. I have 2 trades for every house I do. Like if I have a house, I hire a general, I have an option to plug in electricians. If their numbers are too high, I have a right to plug people in. So I always like to have multiple subcontractors. The other reason I say 2, and you should try to get 3 or 4 if you can. If your one reliable guy is busy, he's going to give you on a busy price. It's going to cost more than normal. And so you have to be able to balance and move things around. My HVAC guy is a good buddy of mine. I've known him for 16 years. I give him Seahawk tickets all the time. This guy's pricing jumps 100% in the week if he's busy. And I'm like, dude, where's my price? And, but I have to plug someone else in. So, just be able to do that. You need a hard money lender. If you go to buy that good deal and you can't fund it, you're going to lose that good deal. So make sure that you're paired up with a hard money guy. And then you always want to make sure you have multiple exit strategies. How you have multiple exit strategies? You have permanent debt options. Mortgage companies, local banks, portfolio lenders that can get you out of that hard money loan. Hard money is a short-term solution. So, you want to know if you can qualify for a conventional loan, because if you're buying that flip property and it may be a little thin or it might be out your skis a little bit, if you only can sell it, you want to make sure you're buying the right deal at that point, right? It's a riskier deal if you only have one exit strategy. Same with like expensive flips. Like I can't refinance any of my expensive flips because they're definitely not going to cash flow. So you just want to make sure if you're going in with one exit strategy, it's a solid strategy. And then I have a commercial lender too, which is going to be your local banks. Yep.
Just real quick, on any of the BRRRRs, are you seeing, because of kind of where the market's at, that you guys are having a hard time appraising it for the ARV that you were thinking originally?
No, because we don't step on our values that much.
Okay.
And so it comes down to just not going to the high comps.
Right.
If like we were actually analyzing one today in Ballard, and we came up with a value of like 650 on the thing, which is low for Ballard.
Right.
And because it was on a weird lot, but the numbers worked good. Nothing had traded like below 650 there. So we stuck the value at 650. Whereas if we could have justified going, hey, well, we're actually putting $100,000 into this thing, it could be worth 7.25. But so as long as we're staying pretty conservative, it should be good. And so we're using cluster comps too. We're making sure, because we know how appraisers comp. They need 3 to 5 comps. And so if you only have the one outlier, you got to throw that out. And so we're pretty good. We haven't had too many problems in that in any market, even back in the day. It's just, you just can't go to the high comp. So, and typically you guys, if we're selling you a BRRRR, we're going to try to say, hey, you should be leaving. We're going to give you a range of what you have to maybe leave in the deal. Like, hey, you could be 5 to 10% in this deal in case these variances. And so we like to prep you guys for worst case and best case. So, then once you build your bench, you want to get pre-qualified. You got to get set up with hard money, interest funding, get approved, be able to pull the trigger on that. Because good deals, you guys, even in this flat market, they're still going like that right now. If it's cheap and they discounted, it is gone. And very, very quickly. You want to be able to make it. The hard money is going to get you ready for a quick decision. And then, hard money gets you ready for a quick decision, and then you know what your takedown financing is, and you know what your permanent financing is, right? Like I was saying, if you only have one exit on this deal, you got to know what the numbers are. But I look at some flips, like there was a couple that I bought in August when the market was really coming backwards. If you're like, wow, you're buying right now, I'm like, well, it works for a rental or a flip, so I'm good. I still had to make sure I could qualify for the loan though. And also I want to know what my rate is at that time. Because I might be like, well, I can keep it as a rental property, but then maybe my rate was a point higher and I didn't realize it. And that's really going to affect my cash flow, or I might have to pay it down. So always be qualified. Get pre-qualified with hard money lending. Always stay qualified with them, and then stay in contact with your mortgage professionals and get updated rates and terms that are going on. So now that we talked about the basics of our company, we're going to talk about just digging right into a good deal. So we're going to talk about fix and flip first. So how our business is set up, it's not like a traditional brokerage. You don't come in here, we don't assign you a broker and you guys go shopping for a house. That's not really how we do it. We run it more like a commercial brokerage shop. So we have 4 acquisition brokers, and we're bringing in a 5th, and they work specific territories. The reason we want them working territories in areas is because they understand the market. That, you know, if I have a guy that's really dialed in at Tacoma and then he's selling a deal in Everett, he's not going to know the streets as well. Like John Whitney back there has worked with, how long have we been working together? 11 years? John knows every street in South King County. He just knows it, right? And I know South King County pretty well too, because I banged doors there for years. And so, you know, but by having work, the professionals that know the market, if something hits, they know what a deal is, what not a deal is. They understand the zoning. They know what the cities are going on. So you're working with true specialists. So anytime, if you're looking for a specific type of property, you know, if it's based on liquidity and you're saying I want a cosmetic flip and I'm looking in Snohomish County and North King, you might be working with 2 brokers, but that just means 2 people are fighting for deals for you. And then our listing team, we have 4 different listing brokers. Every one of these listing brokers has worked on one of my own flips. They've all designed some of my flips. They're phenomenal. You guys, you don't find a set of brokers like this in the market for our fees. They're going to come in, they understand design, they understand budgeting, they understand construction, they can lay a kitchen out for you, they can order a kitchen for you, they can get appliance specs. So these are things that they are adding additional value to. They were all trained on my houses. They understand the numbers too. They're not going to just tell you to add extra things in the house without knowing we can get more money. Or if you guys are over budget, they're going to look at what specs can they dial back to keep you in budget and still get the value. So they understand what you guys are doing. And that's really, really important with your listing broker. And then not only do we have a rockstar real estate team, then we have our support staff. And Carrie is our full-time transaction coordinator. So at any point during your process, you have a full-time staff member that is working with you. So you have access to our team and someone that's helping coordinate. Carrie does all of our closings for the buy and the sell. Grace does all the construction and during the middle process, like contractor referrals, helping with scheduling, doing those kind of items. And then Rachel does all the TCing for our off-market deals. So at any time, you're never going to get lost in the paperwork. And then lastly, and probably most importantly, we have Ryan, our client service manager. So Ryan is around. He is available to meet you guys on site every week if you need. He was an old project manager of mine. We put him in this role now, so he works just on clients' projects. He is out meeting contractors, finding new ones, looking at estimates, having them practice bid out so we know where people's bidding is before we refer them out. And then also, if you're working with a general contractor, and let's say there's a change order, which happens quite a bit in construction. You rip open that wall, there's some water damage going on, and it looks a little scary. And your contractor gives you a $10,000 change order. If you don't know this, you might be like, God, yeah, this thing looks bad. 10 grand doesn't seem that bad. You can call Ryan. He's going to go out there and be like, well, you only need to do A, B, and C. This should cost about this much. And either you can work your contractor down with facts, because a lot of times you can beat them back with facts, or he's going to get you referrals to go get that price under control. Or if your general contractor brings you a roof quote that's really high, he'll get you 3 more roofers to get your quotes. So he's there to help you control your costs. He is not, though, I want to point out, he is not your project manager. He's not going to run your job site. He's there to help your job site. So I just want to make, we're not even allowed to do that with L&I, so we will not run your job sites, but we will help your job sites. But he is there for you. And then you guys, and his fees are all included in our brokerage fees at that point. So, so our advantage, we're going to talk about how we do deals now. We like to tell people experience our advantage. We are not like most brokerages. The reason most brokerages are not set up like us, because it's a total pain in the ass. We set our business up this way in 2008 because the market was crashing. And it was like, what do we do to help people and keep transactions going on? And then it just kind of stuck. And we still provide those same services, but we also like to know that our clients are doing really well. And that's really, really important for us. A lot of our clients are long-term clients that have been with us a really long time. So our goal is to provide you with the tools you need to be successful and extensive resources to guide you from start to finish. It's up to you to execute. So we are there to not just find you a deal and sell it for you. We're going to help you in the middle. And that's really, really our big difference. So our acquisition team, how we sell deals is every deal we send you, unless it's a buy and hold. Buy and holds, we shop with you guys a little bit more because it's important. You might be keeping that for 5-10 years. We want to make sure it's getting the right thing. If it's a BRRRR property, probably not as much because that's more based on leverage. But everything that we send you will be an actual opportunity. You don't need to bid on it. The price doesn't go up and it doesn't go down. And we work on a first come, first served basis. Whoever commits, brings us the check, that is their deal. The only time we've ever taken more money for a property, we did not receive any of it. It's happened numerous times now. Our client actually wrote our other client a check to walk away from the deal. And that guy was stoked. He's like, I just made $10,000 for walking through a house. This is great. So we will not increase the price. So you'll see on a lot of wholesalers like starting price or asking price. That's not how wholesaling works. Yeah. So nothing will get bid up. Pricing's fixed. And then anytime you get a deal from us, it won't be like, here's an address, here's some photos, and then here's what we think it's worth. We're going to break everything down. We'll do that in a second. So you're going to get detailed walkthrough notes, a deal pro forma, exit strategy, rehab plans, specs, and then a full CMA for that. Our listing service is different. So the acquisition is always going to be a deal that's ready to buy right now, and it's packaged up at that point. Now, if you guys see that deal, let me take a step back. If you see that deal and you're like, hey, I don't want to do that much work. I want to kind of do it this way. We'll rerun analysis for you too. But we're analyzing that to highest and best use. Listing services. Our listing services, the advantage is they're designed and budgeted trained. We've talked quite a bit about that now. They're going to set you up also on up-to-date market. So once you buy that property, we're going to set you up on auto comps. And if they see anything change, they're going to be calling you. So that where that comes in handy, especially when the market was so hot this last 24 months, like it would be like, well, we had a value at $1 million and we have a new comp at 1.1 if you add a bathroom. Or maybe let's not go with builder grade cabinets. We want to upgrade the cabinets now. Or we need to drop $10,000 into a back deck and a paver patio and a fire pit. We can get that much more money. So they're going to be talking to you about what to do and not to do based on the comparables. Same thing happened when the market shifted down for a second, right? The market was flying and then we've seen it drop and now it's kind of selling right now. It's just steady. Like we sold, I think 9 homes in the last 11 days. So it is moving. But when that shift dropped in, we depended a lot on our listing brokers, calling our clients and going, hey, look, we had these floors spec'd in. Let's switch to a cheaper spec. We had this going in. How do we cut costs down? And so they're going to be in the up-to-date moments with you. They can do a monthly or weekly job site walkthrough with you. If you want layout advice, they've done tons of layouts with me. They'll walk the site with you. They're going to work alongside with the client service manager. And then they're always going to keep you up to date with CMAs. All right, so knowing your deal is fix and flip. So these, you guys, now we're going to dive into the meat and potatoes of how we do things. So this is a deal that we sold off not too long ago. It's already completed through, so you can kind of see how the numbers are. These numbers that are on here is what went out to our client base. They're very accurate for what we sell now. We're trying to buy it on percentages. So this was a property in North Tacoma. It didn't need everything, full studs down, but it was actually a very clean house. It was like an estate feel. It was honestly move-in ready, but not to get that top dollar out of it. So on this property, it talks about the location. It was in North Tacoma. The deal price was $410,000. That included all commissions, costs, and everything. The only thing it did not include was your buyer's side of closing costs. The reason we don't put that in there is if our clients pay cash, they don't have to get a extended title policy or a lender's coverage. If they're getting a loan, that goes up. So usually this is going to be within $1,000 to $2,000 with your closing costs. Then we're going to have our estimated rehab in here, and then our value, and then roughly net profit. We put these all in bullet points for you guys because we just want our other goal is to make sure that we are being efficient with you guys on time. The last thing we want you to do is go waste a bunch of time, get in a car, go drive and look at a property that is not for you. It's not good for us. It's not good for the seller, and it's also not good for you guys, especially if you've got full-time jobs. going down right now. Like we had to go drive Tacoma right now. That's not the funnest drive. Or at 5 o'clock. So you kind of look at this and you go, okay, this kind of is in my wheelhouse. I kind of like what I'm seeing here. And then it's going to have suggested repairs, new windows, create master suite, add a half bathroom. We're just going to bullet point what's off our budget sheet. And then we're going to list out basically where we're seeing the comps at 699, 702, and 755. And we have a value of 699. So this is just the synopsis of the property. Every deal you get will look like this. It might not be as shiny every time. It might just be an Outlook message, but it will have that same core information always in it. This is just the dressed up version. Yep.
So you've talked a lot on your videos, like about, wiring issues with older homes, sometimes plumbing issues, some other things. Are you assuming that maybe we're not taking down any walls or something like that, to where if we open something up, you get a whole variety of issues, right?
Yeah, we do that based on era and kind of signs that we see. Typically, if it's built before 1950, we're budgeting to rewire, replumb.
Right.
Also comes down to like, we could have like a 1970s house that's copper, which copper's good. Right. But if we're adding bathrooms, you got to replumb the whole thing anyways.
So it was, I didn't see if wiring was on here.
Oh, yeah. It says trim out, but we had it in our budget sheet going forward.
Okay. That's where I was confused.
And so once you look at the synopsis, you're going, okay, I want to dig deeper in this. There's 3 main links that you're going to want to click. The first one's going to be photos. We are not going to hide bad things from you guys. You'll probably have anywhere between 50 and 100 photos. 50 if it's not in that bad of shape. If it's in bad shape, we want to scare you off before you drive to the property, because we really do want you to come in. Most of the time, you guys, the first walkthrough buys the deal, because we're really prepping people up front. And so you get to go through all the photos. As you can see, it wasn't like all that bad. It had some vinyl windows, but we needed a budget to replace the whole thing. But overall, not a bad house, right? Like paint and a cleanup would get this rent ready pretty quickly. It's like more of an estate style house. We definitely sell homes a lot grosser than this. But this one's pretty normal. But the bad news is it's clean, but like outlets, see where those are? There are bad spots. We already knew we were going to have to fully rewire this. So we're always looking for signs to look at. We're looking at panels. We're looking at outlets. And then typically, depending on era, we know or not. So not a bad house, but it needed a lot of work. Weird deck. That's not safe. All right. Once you go through the photos, if you're not freaked out, then you can go into our Performa. And you guys were obviously wanting a whole new set of cool interactive Performas for our clients too. We're going to have them broken down, fix and flip, building dadu properties, BRRRR style properties, commercial client. We're going to have numerous ones. So they're all broken out that you guys will have, and then you can plug the right deals in and play with it. It'll also help you on your exit strategies. But for this one, this is our flip calc. So what we have is we had the deal price at 410. We had a fix up at 130. I don't know, this is 131. Then we had an exit at 699. The next thing that's in this box, this is your core information, is 9 months here. Okay, so this is how long we are predicting that you're going to hold on to this deal. Typically, we run them at 5, 9, and 12 months. Or if it's like a mega project, it might be like an 18, 20-month one. The reason this is so important is this is going to cue off your debt costs too. And it's also going to tell you what your annual returns are. And so those are really important things to kind of pay attention to. And anybody can change these around, like if you're like, hey, my contractor's cheap but slow, I want to put this at 10 months. Some of our clients will actually put that down to 100, but they're like, well, I'm going to be working on this for a year because I do it all myself. And so it's all interactive. This is just what we put in there. Or if you ever think you're like, well, the market's a little slower, I want to add some buffer, you can add that in. You'll see what it does to the margin. So we have 410. We have 3 different boxes set up in this Performa. Honestly, nobody uses this. I'll talk about that in a second. But this is your straight 20% down loan. We know the Intrust funding has approved this deal for 15 to 20% down. You buy it, you fund your rehab out of pocket. And then this is going to calculate based on the different loan balance. The reason most people don't use this, the only reason people use a 20% down is if they're extra liquid and they might want access to it, and they don't want to pay the 10 to 12% interest on the balance of the loan because they're just sitting heavy on cash. And that isn't a bad way to go. Like you guys, I use cash too. Like if I have a deal payoff and I don't have something in the hopper, sometimes I'll pay off my hard money loans to sit for 60 days because I'm waiting for the next one. I refi it and go buy the deal. So you always want to be kind of paying attention to what you have on your liquidity. But then these are the two main ones. So the first one's cash. This is if you have 410, you put 131 in, there's your total project cost, then $2,500 for just miscellaneous expense like power bills, trash, just your general utilities. So this gives you your total direct cost. Then the $699 minus real estate commissions, excise tax, title escrows. This profit is $100,000 to the investor, roughly, which ends up being an 18.5% return on a 9-month basis. The bad news is you got to have a $550 grand to do this deal. As an investor, I don't sit on $550,000. My job and how we built our whole portfolio out and our balance is keeping my money working, right? It's velocity of capital. And if I have $550,000, if you wait, hold on first. If you guys are new, start with one deal always. Don't buy more than one. Let's practice on that one first. But as you get experienced, right, I'm going to want to do multiple deals. And the reason being is this is an 18.5% return deal. This is Intrust Funding's construction loan. This will be approved anywhere between 15 and 25% depending on the deal. What that does is it takes the 410, they roll in the $130,000 in construction. You come in with a down payment of $135 for this property, and they're financing you back the $130,000. With Intrust Funding, the day you close, you get your first draw check. So out of your 135 down, you're roughly getting 35 of that back day one to get you going. Most hard money lenders want you to do the work and they backfill you in. And so that's why the down payment's a little bit heavier than, because you'll hear 10, 15%, those loans, but you have to front load all your construction. Then you got to hire a guy to come out there and inspect your work. Whereas we're just trying to keep the projects moving. And so this client goes, okay, I have to have 135 to bring in to get this deal done. Then it calculates the points and interest based on 9 months hold costs. And then we had the same miscellaneous for just random expenses. So now the basis went from 543 to 594 based on all the debt costs. Then you knock out all the profit and the profit got cut in half. We went from 100 to 50. But the good news is you only have to come up with $175,000 for this deal. And if I have a $550,000, which is a 28, hold on one second. Sorry. This is the 175. So that ends up being a 28% return on your money, right? That's 10% higher than you're making on this deal. In addition to, if I have 550 in my account, I can do 3 of these deals or 2.5 of those. So my profit's going to be 130 versus the 100 if I'm keeping my velocity of money working. And that's how we built our whole portfolio. How much capital we have, because a lot of us don't start with 550. I know in 2008 when I restarted, I definitely did not have 550. Actually, I think I had 8,000. And the hard money I had to borrow was from this guy that ran card rooms, and it was 18% and 4 points. And I had to pay him back that money for sure. And so it's all about what your liquidity position is at that point. But the construction loan is set up to maximize your liquidity, and also get you back your repairs at that point. Yep.
On the rehab cost that you guys stayed on there, the 131, does that include any sort of like contingency buffer? I know you've talked about, sometimes having up to 20% on that. Does that include that?
Yeah. So that number will always be the contingency added on there. It'll be right off our budget sheet. So you guys on cosmetic, we've been adding, depending on what the deals are, anywhere between 10 and 20% to each deal. Most of them hit about the 10%. If it's a real true cosmetic deal where it's like paint, carpet, we might throw it all 5 on there. So bigger the project, the bigger variance will. Yeah.
I have a question. I see loan points in the previous slide.
Yeah.
Is it the buy down points? Like, do we for the buy down, or is it?
Oh, so that's the origination fee.
Oh,
and then
okay.
Interest
Got
funding
it.
rolls it into the loan.
Okay, that's not for the buy down. Okay. got
Yeah,
it.
the buy down will get your rate lower.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the rates don't go lower in hard money. But there is no prepays or something like that.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
But good question. And then so once you go through the project, you go, hey, I'm good with the photos. It's not too scary. I like the numbers. I like the return numbers. Then we're going to pair it up with what we think you should be doing for it. So you can kind of match that with the budget. We have 12 different built out budget sheet spec books for 4 different versions of style homes, right? Traditional, craftsman, modern, and mid-century. So like a mid-century is going to have a luxury one where we've accounted for really expensive cabinets. And then we're going to have a budget one where we're painting the cabinets. And so as a variance on the budget sheet, depending on how quality it is. We are rebuilding all these out too. We're actually going to roll out about 100 of these for our clients because we've done so many projects. We're compiling them all right now. So you can see the house, you can see the specs, and then you can literally pick out whichever one you want. And then they'll be all broken down with where it is, how to cost it, and what it will all tie in together. So now the important part, how do we come up with that 130 number? That's the meat and potatoes of the deal. So how we break it down is we have a rough calculation. This is a rough calculation based on historicals, our clients, and what I'm paying right now in today's market. They're based on what we're seeing, and they're broken down by allowances and install rates or per square foot. So when you guys read these sheets or you're quoting, or, you know, if I'm looking at something and I looked at that sheet, like, okay, well, my guy's at $2, I can make my changes at that point. So if there's variances, we can add in contingencies for you guys, or you can kind of go through and see where you want to cut or shave. All investors should verify their own costs. My costs are different than yours. My costs are different than my clients in Tacoma. My clients in Tacoma, my hands-on guys, they will smoke my budgets by 25%. It also depends on who teams you're working with. My teams right now, because we've been doing luxury flips, I can't really go into like a split level house down in Kent that I'm selling for $550 because they cost too much. And so I have numerous different teams, right? And I might have some more affordable teams that I stick on that stuff. They can do it. And I have my other more expensive teams. So based on the team you're building, we want to verify those costs. And then we can plug in the right people too. And then adjust your pro forma accordingly. So how we break things down, and we'll use this example. So that's that house with in Tacoma. So we break it down by per square foot. We're constantly changing and adding this stuff, you guys. Like for a while, like when we sold this deal, I remember electrical and everything spiked because those were hard. Things are starting to come back down. Like we started building new homes ourselves and stopped hiring builders, and we've cut our costs now 25% in the last 6 months. So we were building like $330 a foot for a while. We're back down to like $280, where we were building at $175 6 years ago. So, you know, they go up and down depending on what's going on in the market. And we try to update this and pricing like once a quarter, like we're on, okay, or this is an issue, we shift it out. But so right here, we know if you guys read through this, you'd be like, okay, we got to rewire 2,000 square feet at this house. Because the reason it was only 2,000 is because the basement was actually all brand new, rewired with can lights, the sub panel, everything down that basement. And that was 1/3 of the house. And then we had a trim out. So that was at $3 a foot. How did I come up with $3 a foot? I called my electricians and asked them. I said, hey, running Romex, and I didn't call my cheap guys either. That was the ballpark they would give me. And so we're like, okay, we're going to base that in there. Then trim out, like this one, you know, because we sold this deal about 12 months ago because it closed out recently. So now we have this at $2 a foot rather than $1 because switches outlets have got more expensive, and so is the labor. So then you can go, okay, to trim this out, I'd be at $1 a foot. That's not going to work for me at $2. We'd want to adjust that here, but it's broken down that way. Ceiling mount fixtures, $45 a fixture going in. That was $20 for the fixture and $25 for the electrician just to slap it in that way. And those are costs that we are changed around. Like with a plumber, we have $100 for a toilet, $50 for a faucet, and we get that by interviewing our contractors. So when you're going through this and you're meeting with people, you can, you know, because we all get in that cat and mouse game with the contractor. My budget's this, and then they start high and they want to get to the middle. Problem is the middle sometimes doesn't have any logic behind it. You get killed on change orders. And so by going through this, it's a way to negotiate your contractors down. Like when my electrician comes in over budget, I'm like, hey, dude, look, we got to talk about this. I don't say your price too high. I go, I just got to confirm what you told me 60 days ago. You only charge this much for this, right? You charge this much for this. You charge this much for this. You charge me this much for this. And I ran my wiring at $3 a foot. Is that right? And if they're saying all yeses, then I'm like, why are we over budget? They got to at least give me the reason. What did I miss here? And if they can't come up with it, it's actually a much easier negotiation at that point. And they come back down. Or if they go, well, that's the number, then they're just too busy. I got to call someone else or pay the cost. So we'll break down every section of the house this way. And you guys get to review this and go through it with your construction team. Once you go through the budget, you go on through the photos, you like the numbers, then we're going to break up how do we come up with the values. You're going to get pictures of the houses we used, when they sold, where they sold, click through all the photos so you can see how nice they are. So in this one, we had a sold at $669. We had one at $702. Oh, that cut off. Those were our two main comps. And then we actually had a $752. But you can kind of go through all the comps, see what it is at that point. Once the client was done, and this is a very hands-off client, but you know, she lives in Argentina. Where's Pamela live? Ecuador. Sorry. She actually has a killer waterfront beach house in Ecuador. I'm jealous. But very hands off, right? So she actually relies heavily on her spec. She had her own general contractor, but Megan was down there speccing this whole house out regularly. So they picked the colors of the siding, but it got she ended up spending more money on this property too. She ended up re-siding it. But we were actually able to salvage some of this. But you see like how it didn't, we had a budget to go down the studs on the main floor, but we trenched it all in to cut costs that way. So she spent more in certain areas and we picked it up on others. That's how you get that nice copper ceiling too. We opened up the kitchen. Kitchen looked good. All the floors got hit. Looks better. Looks fresh. There was the basement. That was another place we picked up money. We kept the floor down there. And so it was kind of give and take. She wanted to get the siding done. So how is the number? So she purchased it for $410. She put $130,000 into it. Target value was $720 or $699 to $720. We ended up selling for $800 with a net profit of $71,000, which ends up being a 45% cash on cash return. So other deals that we've done. Actually, any questions on that?
Do you guys recommend kind of give your opinion on whether you think people should keep it as a burr or a flip? I mean, people I've heard people have kind of different strategies, like yourself, Tarl, other people.
Yep.
Back. I mean, do you guys kind of give your opinion on that, or does it just come down to the client whether they want to have something to keep or not?
Yeah, we give our opinion. I mean, I always look at what's return on equity. That's always my thing, because you can look at the cash flow of a deal and make 20%, but if let's say you only have to leave like 10 grand in the deal and you're making $200 a month, right. That's good. That's a good buy. But if I got a bunch of equity sitting there, I actually take my annual cash flow and I divide it by my equity. That's going to tell me my true return, because the equity is usable. Right. And then, so if I can get the cash back and then even times it by my tax rate, and be like, okay, well, I'm only picking up 60 cents on the dollar on this. I'm going, what can I make with this money moving on? Or do I keep it as a rental? You guys, one thing I will say is I sold a lot of property in 2010 to 13 that I wish I would have kept. But I needed to also build up my cash reserves to get me in the position I am now. So liquidity, there's a balance in there. Properties I try to keep today have a little bit more upside. If I'm buying like single family, 1 to 4, like if it's got like a zoning that's good on the lot that I can keep, then I plan on keeping it for 5-10 years. Waiting for the next building boom, or just a straight cash deal where if I'm cash flowing, like if I'm getting most of my money back out, or if I'm making above 10%, I'll definitely look at it.
Yeah, I asked that question because a lot of people are new, and so I think that experience and that kind of understanding the big pixture is really valuable, because a lot of times you can go in thinking I want to do a flip or I want to do a burr like ahead of time. You kind of stick to that when there could be a better exit strategy or better bigger picture strategy.
Yeah, we try to look at the long-term goal too. Yeah. Like if I'm starting with 50 grand and I buy 3 burrs, and that's going to end up eating down my 50, like slowly with overages and runs. Let's say the 50 goes to 25, but I own 3 properties now, and I'm making $600 a month on all 3 houses. That's not going to get me where I'm trying to go to. Right. And so for me, I'm going, okay, well, if I had 50, I'm going to try to grow that 50 into 100. And then the 100 is going to produce more income this way. Let's say I get to 150. Then I'm going to take that 50. I'm going to dump it back into rentals. And I try to keep a floating balance that I always can have gunpowder. Like having gunpowder there is good for that deal. Yeah. You never want to, my opinion, and I'm not, there's probably plenty of properties I should have kept 4 years ago too, right? I would have done great on them. But for me, I'm like, my end goal is to get this nest egg to a certain amount so it pays me passive income. So I need a bigger nest egg. And so the easiest way I've done it is I go, okay, if I can make 10% of my money, which is good, but let's say I have $100,000 saved, that's gonna pay me $1,000 a month. Right. So if I'm making what do I need there to work backwards? If I'm trying to make 10 grand a month, that tells me I need to save $1 million. And so I need a certain amount of gunpowder. I also need to acquire rental properties at the same time. So a lot of what we do is we take, like how we grew through the downturn was we would take 20-30% of our profits, or 20%, stick it back into rentals. That left us 40% because we're getting taxed at the other 40. Right. And then that gave us a little bit, 20% went to flips, 20% went to operations. So we keep growing it out. And so it's about just taking your just don't spend it.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Don't go buy shiny stuff, buy real things. But yeah, that's the debate, but it depends on the investor for sure. Yep.
So when we are switching from hard money lending to the conventional lending,
Yes.
they go through the appraisal. Then when we are updating the property and we are rehabbing.
Yep.
So do we consider something, adding fireplace will add more value to the appraisal, then increasing the home value, and then how do we look into the appraisal viewpoint of home value?
We will help you do that. So we're going to go through every comp and break down the finishes and what it needs to get there. And also, there's also sometimes in a comp, I'll be like, yeah, this one had like a really nice deck, but the appraiser's not going to give you much value on that.
Yeah.
So we're going to target bedrooms, bathrooms, location typically, and square footage. And then we'll build the plan based on that. And then we're going to give you those comparables that will back it up. So then the appraiser also can reference it that way as well. Yeah.
Okay, so my question is, I have visited a few of your listing in East Side, like
Okay.
so few of them had like a wonderful updates and upgrades.
Yep.
And then few has like a minimal,
Yes.
which you thought like, okay, that's enough. Is it all your listing is yours, or like is it few investors and then they make a choice of how much money they want to put on renovation?
Yeah, that's you guys. At the end of the day, we sell a product in a package. Some of our clients take that package and they throw it in the garbage. Because I mean, we've had people rip the roofs off. I'm like, whoa, what happened to the roof? They're like, well, we're going up, and they'll go way, way overboard. We'll say spend 150, they spend 350. Andy, but he did well, right? So it's all about the plan. And then some of our clients will be like, hey, we think you should do all ABC, and they're like, yeah, we could do that, but we're going to do 25 instead and go for a lower number. So you can. That's the hard thing for me in a brand. I'm like, no, it's not my house. People call me like, I didn't like your house in Tacoma. I'm like, that's not my house. It's
Okay.
on the sign.
I was very curious about it.
Yeah. No, they don't all follow the format, but by all
Some of the
means.
materials are based on the comps, right? So you're trying to match whatever the comps are. You don't want to necessarily overdo it. If the
Yeah,
comps
and
are,
And who knows? The client could have been like, hey, my contract had this on blowout and it's
Or
50
that,
cents
yeah.
a foot. And so they'll make those choices for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. No, that's why there's a variance.
Thank you.
Yeah, some of our clients, I'm like, we've had one. I remember there's one. I called him. I was like, I can't list this. He's like, well, why not? I'm like, I just can't list this, dude. Your tile is like, I've never seen a tile job like this before. He's like, well, you're not going to list it? I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm like, I put my name on many of things, but this one I'm not doing. Yeah, there's a variance. Other types of deals, you guys, these are very similar to the deals that we'd be selling off. So like, we're going to update these for the next quarter too. 585 is the purchase price. They put 85 in, sold it for 850. There's one for 380, 105, and 650. Actually, this is one Andy went over on. We also went over the ARV too. Where'd we go? You put 50 more in, we sold 50 more.
Something
Something like that, in that range. And then another one, like the bigger the fixture, you guys, the better the margin. So if you guys want to crush it in real estate, get really good at the construction. Everyone wants to know the deals I buy. The deals I buy, no one wants. I'm like, all right, well, I guess I'm taking it. A lot of the deals I buy personally are sitting on market for 9 months. Everybody could buy them. And then I just put the right plan on it and have the right resources. If you get good at construction, you will dominate burrs and flips because the discounts you get are a lot deeper on the bigger fixtures because they're harder. So this one, 850, they put 250 in the reno, sold it for 1433. And you guys right now, today, the fixtures are really on sale. The cosmetic deals, people are still fighting over, but if there's some hair on the deal, people are just staying clear. And we've been able to pick up some really good buys that way. Everett Reno, this is a big fixer. This thing was trashed. It was only 200 grand. They put 130 into a house that was only like 850 square feet. And then we sold it for 550. They also got a market pop on that. I think we performed it at like 460 type day. So any questions on the fix and flip?
So just so I'm understanding correctly, in terms of like the legwork of your clients, like us, for example. So all the legwork that you listed out was like interviewing contractors, subcontractors, the hard money lending, like that's the time and effort that we're putting into it versus we're kind of relying on you in a big portion of sourcing the deal, like putting together the pro forma, a little bit of like the design on the house, and then we're making the decision as to whether or not we want to roll with that plan or not.
Yeah, and then you manage the contractors, and then we're there to help you with the contractors, though.
Okay.
Yeah, like our team's not going to go out and like direct your guy where to go. We can't too. It's a liability thing. But we'll be there. Like if you're like, hey, Megan and Ryan, I want you every Tuesday. I want to walk this with you guys. They'll go do that with you. But yeah, you're going to manage the contractors at that point. So, and then you guys too, piggyback on that. If you're like, hey, I like this deal, but I don't want to do all this shiny stuff, and I kind of want to just do paint and carpet, can you we'll run new numbers for you too on that. So we're just giving you one package. And if you want to look at it a different way, or let's say we're pitch and flip, and you're like, can I keep this as a rental? I like this as a rental. I like this house for whatever reason. It's right by my house. We'll run all those numbers that way for you too, and probably scale the budget back at that point. So, but yeah, we'll give you a plan. Yep.
Question. So I see you guys are sourcing a lot of single family homes. How are you guys sourcing duplex, triplex, fourplex? Do you guys see those coming in, and do you offer those to your clients as well?
Yes, we do. Actually, that's what we're going into long term. Well, but yeah, we do. Multifamily was tough, especially the last 12, 18 months in Seattle. There's deals again now. Where we've had the best success is actually in the large stuff because all the big buyers left. So we've gotten some really good deals on some 20 to 30 unit deals. The beat up 2 to 4s are coming down. And then the beat up fit like Seattle for like 5 to 10. We're seeing a lot of good opportunity there.
A lot of those single families in Seattle proper have been like converted into duplexes. I mean, I'm sure you guys have seen that in like Cap Hill.
Oh
right?
yeah, that was the one we were looking at today in Ballard. It was a 1989 built house, had 2 kitchens in it. It was $450,000. And we're trying to grind it down to 400.
Isn't the duplex trying to make do a single family, and then now they are selling it?
Yeah, they did something with it. They haven't finished. We got to go look at it. But and then it was also zoned LR2, so you can switch it to a duplex later. But yeah, there's a lot of that in Seattle, and they used to enforce that pretty heavily. Like back when we were buying rentals, we had like to make them cash flow, we had to do it that way. 2010, and they would crack down on us. Because of affordable housing and all these things, they don't want to take rental units off the line. And so I don't feel like we get those issues as much anymore. But you guys
will want to scale up to the duplex. Like I can't see why somebody would want to turn a duplex, especially with rents in Seattle.
Yeah, the only thing is we'll give you guys options on it, but we're usually going to, as far as an analysis go, we're going to go with the conforming numbers because it gets tricky on the appraisals.
Right.
So if that's like that house, it is set up as a duplex, 2 kitchens, 2 entrances, everything. We're comping that as a house, not a duplex. And that's important because you can't put that extra, you can't do a blend on that either. It's like, nope, this is a single family house. So those are the things that we check heavy on those. Because we're always going to analyze it like conforming, but then the kicker is the non-conforming. Like that. It's kind of like short-term rental.
Right.
It's just a kicker if you want to do the extra work on it. So long-term wealth, now that we talked about the short-term investments, because I'm running long, of course, we have the long-term. So what we sell is single-family homes, multifamily, rooming houses, commercials. We have some background and vacation rentals. These are all stuff that we currently own. We don't sell industrial because I don't own it. I don't know how to stabilize it. But if you are looking for those things, we do know some really good people that source that stuff off. I buy stuff off them too. But it's just we only sell what we have in our portfolio. Because again, we want to make sure we know how to teach you guys. And then also for accredited investors, we do some syndicating. So why holdings? Well, there's many benefits to keeping them. And I've learned these because I paid lots of taxes, right? When I flip a house, I pay 40 cents on every dollar I'm making on that because the brackets and how it all rolls up. So that's good and bad. Good news is I made money. Bad news is you lose a part of it. So once you guys, some people like to do the slow flip where you keep it a year and a day and then you sell it off. Your tax bracket falls down in half. You go to long term. And so there's different things you can do, but why there's benefit, you can depreciate it. If you buy a bigger building, you can cost segregate it. Cost segregation is great for high income years. A lot of people invest in our syndication is because they just sold a business off and they're trying to drive their tax bases down. So cost segregation allows you to hyper depreciate your asset and bring down your income. If you have like a high income year and the next year you think it's going to be slow, it's a good year to cost seg that because it drives your income down maybe into a different bracket. And then you've depreciated that quicker, but then maybe your slower years, you're already at a lower bracket anyways. And so it's about balancing your taxes.
But you don't have to be a professional investor to benefit from the depreciation.
You have to have cap gains. Yeah, the cost seg you have to. So if you sell in this, if you made money in the stock market or anything with a capital gain, it can wipe out that. So it does have to wipe out capital gains, not just income. It's gonna be like for like trade out. And then it's great for hedge against inflation, right? Like I think we all wish we bought more rental properties in the last 2 years. Rents have gone way up. Money was locked in. Now the cost of money or inflation is double what the rate is. Passive income, that's what we're all trying to go. I do not want to be a real estate broker for the rest of my life. I like doing it, but I work for all you guys. I want to live off my income, right? So building up more portfolios, you guys starting with housing, you start building your passive income, then you 1031 exchange it out. We'll talk about that. You double up your cash flow and you can keep this cycle going. And then we're all trying to just relax and hang out and enjoy ourselves. So additional specialties and resources that we're very, very familiar with and we help our clients with 1031 exchanges. If you own property and you want us to look at it, we'll run an analysis of why you should keep it or why you should sell it. There's some stuff you should never sell or you want to wait to the next cycle. There's some stuff that you want to maybe look at. How are you maximizing that equity? Can you trade it out? I have a duplex in Queen Anne right now that I have $0 in. I'm making $1,500 a month in cash flow. It was a major fixture. It took me 2 years to get there. So I made no cash flow for 2 years. It is up for sale right now. The reason being is I can trade that for 6 units if I get my number. I'm not in a hurry to sell it, but I'm going to leave it up for sale. And if someone wants to pay me for it, I'm going to trade these 2 for 6. That was the whole purpose of me buying that property. Even though most people think I'm crazy for zero money in, Queen Anne, $1,500 cash flow. Because I want to turn that $1,500 into $3,000 on one trade. So self-directed IRAs or 401ks. If you guys have IRAs and 401ks and you want to figure out whether you put real estate, we can refer you to the companies who will be your custodians at that point. And then you can actually buy a rental property with your IRA money. This has been really good for us, guys. We have taken our 401k from a very small amount and done well by just systematically putting in real estate deals over the last 15 years. We do some flip properties. We do some whole properties. We have to put in other things as well because we're working professionals. But this has exploded our 401k. Opportunity zones, if you have any interest, we can walk you through that. Additionally, we have a database of off-market deals that we've been working on for years that we know what the sellers will trade for. They might not be that great for fix and flip, but it might be a rental in an area you like, and you can get like a 15% discount, and you can park your money there. So we do have additional opportunities as well. We know leverage and structure well, which is the key to buying and holding. And then also I did not want to start this, but we started this about a year ago, the property management, because our clients like our services so much. So we do property management. It's at 7%. It was at 5.5 roughly. We had to raise it 7 because of inflation, but it's still quite a bit lower. We try to stay under where the market is. Typically, property management is going to range anywhere between 8 and 10, typically for single family houses. Multi will be a little bit less, but if you have properties you want us to look at, we can definitely do that. Being a landlord, that's the worst part, dealing with tenants, right? So here's our team for our multifamily. We're actually growing this team too right now. So myself and Jen Hafner, she is our go-to multifamily broker. That's all she does all day. If you want to look at multifamily, she's going to meet with you. We're going to figure out what your buy box is, and we're going to go find that deal for you. Our 1031 exchange partner, we have a couple of them, but we refer out Kyle Williams with Investment Property Exchange. He works at Fidelity National Title. The reason we like that is because one thing that was pointed out to me is exchangers, if you sell a property, it goes into their account and they go disappear, there's nothing that covers your money. So we like referring you to Fidelity because Fidelity has lots of money and you'll get your money back. But be aware of that with your 1031 exchangers if you ever get one. Make sure they've been in business a long time. It is a real thing. I didn't know about it until a couple years ago. Intrust funding is our takedown financing. The reason we say takedown financing, if a BRRRR property, you're not getting a conventional loan. They need a lot of work. The appraisal's not going to come in right. You're going to miss that good deal. The key is hard money, refined a permanent loan. And then we have numerous financing partners we'll refer you out to. Jason Sang's one of them. He's actually switching his office, I think, pretty soon. Everybody like Jason are guys that understand what you're doing, not just regular mortgage brokers. Mortgage brokers like to tell you they'll get you your rate and your loan done, no problem. But then they don't even look at your tax returns yet. So like Jason, for example, he'll meet with you, look at your tax return and guide you on how you should move it around. Because there's certain ways, like if my tax return reads one way or something's feeding up this way as an S corp or an LLC, the banks don't like it. But then if you structure it this way, they're totally fine with it. So there's things that you can do that will make it. It basically reduces your balance sheet, and it's not weird. It's all normal tax stuff. So why do you want to keep them? Well, the average rent increase in 2022 for King County was 20.9%. Pierce County was 22%, and that's a typo. Snohomish County was 21%. So lots of growth. Lots of growth. 51% in the city of Snohomish County. And then the annual appreciation, we like to point this out. So when we look at deals, we build out like a 5, 10, and 15-year model for you. And this new calculator we got building is going to do that even better. We put in 3.5% appreciation because that's the historical rate. So if you own this for 10 years, you're getting the cash flow, you're buying down your principal, but there's also appreciation, and we want to look at that. So we use a pretty conservative number at that point. Other benefits, there's a long-term tax liability versus short-term we talked about, depreciation, hedge against inflation, passive income. So what's our process? So we do 2 different things. The acquisition, if you guys want to buy a rental property, we do like to meet with you and talk to you a little bit more because rental's a little closer to home, right? You're going to own this thing. We want to find out, a lot of us, including me, we're all restrained. We're restrained by liquidity. I only have so much money to buy rentals with. And so depending on what my goals are, we want to sit with you and go, okay, well, some of our clients come in, they're like, I sold off stock. I just want to get a rental. And they want to go put 20% down, get a clean rental and buy that. A lot of us, like myself, I have a certain amount of money. I want to grow this. So how do I buy rentals in the right way? And that's what we're going to do in this meeting. Sit with you, go over what it is. We're going to look at anything that you own. And then we're going to put together a 5-year, 10-year action plan. Just like this is what we need to do to build this. We're going to get you pre-qualified, and then we're going to start looking for deals based on your buy box on the plan that we put together. I mean, you might come in and say, I want to buy properties in Seattle, and we're going to be like, well, really, you want to buy them here because you're going to get a better cash flow. Or you might say, I don't care about cash flow, and I want to buy in Renton. We might, let's get you into Seattle because there's bigger equity plays. So it depends on what you want to do. On the disposition, we're going to have a 101. So if you have any properties you want to sell and look at trading out and double an X on your return, we're going to meet with you, look at your portfolio. Is it a smart thing to do? 1031 exchange it. We're going to put together an upgrade plan. We're going to walk you through, like if you sold this and we got you into these 3 types of deals, what that's going to look like for you today and on a 5-year basis. Because trading out will change everything for you guys. Me and Will went from 9 single family rentals to where we have over 1,000 doors now in Seattle. That wasn't because we just had money to buy all these properties. We traded, moved things around, brought in partners. We had to kind of get creative. We're going to get your 1031 exchange set up. We're going to get your properties listed. We're going to find you a new investment, and then we're going to increase your return at that point. Another thing we offer is for house hacking. For anybody that does not own real estate, you qualify for, or you, not always, but probably going to qualify for a first-time home buyer loan. Okay, this is a good way to maximize leverage. You put as little as 0 to 5% down on these products. He's done 3.
You need to live in, right?
Yeah, I just winged it.
This guy came in. He's like, I'm a newbie. I own 3 houses. I'm like, you're not new, but you got it done.
Somehow, yeah.
Yeah.
Is it the same services as well? I'm sorry, I didn't know.
Oh, no.
Is it the same services if you're doing the house hack as well?
Yeah, it will be. Most of the time, we got to find pretty light fixtures on those because a lot of what they're doing is they're renting out per room or renting out.
Or if you got like a 2 or 3K
loan.
loan?
Yeah, we would do that. Yeah,
I got approved. I mean, it's paying the ass, but
Yeah, they are.
yeah, yeah. I would have said, well, we're probably not going to get a deal done to it nowadays. We can get one done. Like the last 24 months, it's really hard to get someone to accept that offer.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
But now you're in the market where that will work. And so if you have any questions about that, we'll be reaching out. And then you guys, we're actually beefing up this team too. This will be, there's going to be lots of different resources available for this. It was kind of something, honestly, so many bigger pockets people are coming in. I was like, I need to do something.
You got pretty popular.
Yeah, not compared to all the other guys. They got like, they're really popular. I guess I need to do the TikToks, the
thing.
Yeah, the pop the bubbles. Or the pop a return. All right, acquisition approach. So there's kind of 2 ways that we look at rental properties. there's the traditional approach, right? And there's nothing wrong with this, guys, because there is negatives to BRRRRs. Traditional approach is where you have some capital, like we're looking at a deal today. Super clean carpet paint only. It would cash flow out at 7% today, Smutty, on conservative rents. If rates fall a point to 5.5 to 5.75, the return turned into 13% for a cosmetic fixer, and you can have that rented the next month. You buy that. There's nothing wrong with that deal, and those deals are more available now than they were 24 months. I call them the weighted out BRRRRs. So the good thing is you don't have to fix as much stuff to get leverage back. You just got to ride out the crap cash flow for a year. And as long as it's breaking even, it will turn into a good return. So, but on this, we're going to run the existing approach, right? What can you buy it for? What's it worth? There's usually going to be, these are lighter fixture deals, so they're going to have less of a discount. You're going to put down 10 to 20, usually 20% down. You're going to get it stabilized in 6 months. Typically, we're buying a property about 10 to 15% off value anyways. You're going to be able to get half your money back out. And then you leave it in, but you're getting a steady return right away. So we say 2 to 4 units, you're going to leave anywhere between 10 and 20% when you're done with the first purchase. Also, on traditional approach, one thing I want to point out is we don't take it down with hard money. We're going with traditional financing at that point because the discount's not as deep, and we want to get you cheap debt up front to make the deal better. On 5 and above, we say 20 to 40%. The only reason we put in 40% is because if you want something in Bellevue, it's not good cash flow. You got to leave a lot of money in it. It's just the way it is in the East Side. East Side's for rich people investing. I have no rentals in the East Side. But value add approach. And this is your BRRRR, right? And this is where we're not going off existing financials. We're looking at pro forma metrics, right? What can we buy it for? What kind of renovation can we do? What will that lease out for? The key to BRRRRs is the leverage position. So you're buying it well below market, not a 10% drop. We're buying it 20, 30% below. And our goal is to be 75% of the new appraised value with the rehab and the purchase or the rehab and the purchase cost. That's your BRRRR, right? The variance is how much cash you got to leave in that deal. And so that's how we're looking at things. So the leverage position is key, right? Because we know if you buy it, you renovate it, we can get up to 70, 75% depending on which bank you're working with. That's also why we want you pre-qualified, because if you're a 70%er, we got to look at the deal a little different. If you're a 75%er, we know we can get you more leverage and then metrics will change. Key to this is cost of improvements. If you're buying this property for $100,000 and it's worth $200,000, but you got to put $100,000 into it, that's not going to burn, right? And so you have to be able to nail these improvements. And then it's always a 2-step loan. Typically, you're buying this with hard money. You're getting a construction loan. That's going to optimize your financing, because if you go buy a deal conventional, you put 20% down, then you put the rehab in, that money's seasoned. You're not going to go get and lever that up for a good 12 months. So your money's locked. So hard money is essential for this deal. So you buy with hard money, then you refi into a conforming loan. The benefits to BRRRR is you're going to pick up more equity. You're going to leave less cash in the deal. The negative to BRRRRs is you don't get money on this property until it's fully stabilized. So that duplex I referenced in Queen Anne, I didn't get a rent check. It was actually a cash suck for 24 months. It was falling down a hill, and it was not good. That's why it was so cheap. But I had to bank that into my deal. That was, I didn't get any passive income. I was paying $30,000 to keep this property for 2 years. Short-term pain turned into a great long-term gain, but those are things to think about in your financial situation. You got to feed the beast. So those are the two types of deals that we really, really sell off, and then there's syndicating for all those who are accredited. If you don't want to do all the work, you guys can invest with us. So we do apartment deals, we do development deals. You guys don't need to do this. We throw it out there because some people are like, I don't want to do any of this. I just want to make a return. So you must be accredited. It's all passive. We run it. Typically, it's a 6 to 7% pref return. Our target IRR last deal we did was 16.5% on a long term. Actually, those deals have gotten a lot better. They were 14 before. And then the big benefit, like I throw money into our own syndication deals to get that cost the depreciation, the bonus depreciation to drive my income down. So let's look at a normal rental deal. This is one that was sold off about 6 months ago. And so what is it? It was a 2-bedroom, 1-bath house, 1943. It was on a 9,900 square foot lot. So the reason this was good for upside is you can build a daddy in the back later down the road. So it's just good upside later for your portfolio. And that's what we're always looking for. It was only 700 square feet. It was built in 1943, but it was a cosmetic fixer. This is when they bought it. It was a rental forever, right? Good roof, decent windows. So let's look at it as a flip overview. You buy this deal for $350. We had a renovation budget of $65. It wasn't that bad, but it still needed a full turnover. It was a value of $499 to get it with a 65. That's an estimated profit of $10,000 to $15,000 with $83,000 in the deal. That's a 12.5% cash on cash return deal. We don't sell those. We're trying to hit at least 15% on our flips. So not quite as a flip, but as a rental, it looks like actually a lot better buy. $350. You only had to put $35 in to get it rent ready. And then we had the value at $475. The big kicker was the second bath to hit this $499 number. So we adjusted our game plan. Like one of the questions was kind of we're going, no, based on the $475 comps, we think it's better to spend less money, do a light upgrade, get it back to rent, then you're back in there. The bonus of this deal is this client picked up nearly $100,000 equity position on this. The cash flow is not going to be great. We'll look at it, but they're picking up that big hitter, right? They're going to be able to lever most of their money back and pick up that huge equity position they can use later down the road. As you can see, not too bad. Had a little detached one car, nice big lot. That's where a dadu can go. And then we needed flooring, we needed paint. Cabinets were actually not terrible for a rental, but we want to knock them out anyways. And so what he came in and did, he did all the flooring, did the paint. He threw a kitchen in because the kitchen was like $6,500. Well worth it. Updated the bathroom a little bit and then put it back up for rent. It's already rented. So what does this look like? This is our rental calculator, and we're making another cool one of these too. You guys are going to use. So what this does though, it calculates the purchase price, the lending cost, and rolls it all in. So it tells you how much cash flow and actually you're leaving in the deal. So right here, we have our purchase price, our fix up, and the base and the appraised value at $475. These two boxes are important. It says estimated refi, estimated rehab period. Okay, we have 4 months in this deal. So we estimated it was going to take anywhere between 8 and 10 weeks to renovate, and then it was going to take another 4 to 6 weeks to refi that out. That matters because that's going to calculate your debt cost for your hard money during that while. That gets rolled into how much cash you'll leave in the deal. So this breaks down how long we think it's going to be. Then here's our assumptions: a 5% vacancy and appreciation at 3%. We had rents at $28.50 for this house. We'll go into how we came up with those. Then we back out. So for a single family, multifamily is a lot different. We put in all these expenses. If it's in Seattle, we do bill backs for utilities because you can. But single family, we leave pretty basic. You can add anything in, right? We backed out the real estate taxes, hazard insurance, and then our tenants pay water, sewer, garbage, all those things, and that kind of goes on the tenant. If you do it a different way, we need to know that, and we'll put it into the pro forma. But we run it on a baseline. For example, this guy's self-managing. If you want property management, which is a good thing too, we need to add that in the deal and look at the true return. So we just do it on the baseline. So after this client paid $350, they renovated, they got the new appraisal, they were going to cash flow out $200 a month. Not tons, but after they used their leverage, right? So they came in. This tells you estimated down payment. He brought in $93,000 to do this deal, which also got him back his $35 in reno. There's the loan fee. There's their holding costs for the deal. And then it talks about, we ran this because the client wasn't qualified with a 75% lender with a portfolio. He was using a traditional lender. So we ran this at a 70% loan to value. That's really important. If it was a 75%, he would have had to leave very little money in the deal. But what he ended up doing, you got a 70%. We ran the interest rate at 7%. Right now, you guys were being pretty aggressive on those exit rates. Usually we're adding like a quarter. We were adding almost a point during the summer. Now they're pretty stable. So we're adding like a quarter to a half point, depending on what the Fed's saying. We build that in. And then this guy's leaving $53,000 in this deal, right? He's making $200 a month. Not that great. That's a 4% return. But you got to look at, remember, short-term pain. This property, we're at $28.50. When cash invested was $53,000, $200 a month. That's a 7 point, but we put it in there anyways. Cash return 4%. I don't like a 4% return. but I would consider this deal because the equity position is 75 to 100 grand. In addition to, that'll be the next slide. Well, this goes into how we came up with our rent numbers, guys. So this is how we come up. We use rent comparables. We do two things. Use Northwest MLS. I actually like using that. That actually gives you really good data points. And then we use Rentometer and we blend them together. So as you can see in Rentometer, that the average is 27. The high was at 29. And then we had rent comps. The good thing is this person was at our brokerage. They rented theirs for $2,900. So we put ours at $2,850. This was had extra half bath, way worse location. So we're being conservative on that point. And then we had another rent comp at $2,400 that wasn't fixed up. So we used the blend. But why is this still a good buy? So at $199 a month, 7% rate. Who thinks interest rates will go down by the end of the year? I do. I think they're going to be in the high fives for homeowners. We'll probably be at 6.5 for investors, somewhere in there, maybe low sixes. In 24 months, I think they're going to be in the high fives for investors. You know, I don't think they're ever going back to where we were, but that's a rate that high fives would be higher than I was paying in 2012 to 14, for sure, or 10 to 14. So if the rates go down to 5.5%, their crappy cash flow turns into $650 a month, which is a 12% return. If it goes down to 5, it turns into a 14%. If it goes down to 4.75, it's a 15% cash on cash. So I can buy this deal, pick up $100,000 in equity. I'm putting in 50. I can 2x my money in equity. And then I could be making a 12% cash on cash return deal on a property I can build a dadu on later. This is a keeper. Because I'm making my minimum return is 10%. I'm making over 10%. And not only that, I can either build the dadu on it, sell the property off at 1031 and exchange that out later for more doors, keep the condo or sell them both off and probably trade it out for 8 to 10 units. Yep.
So just for context, how much are you seeing a cost per square foot for a dadu in, let's say, Seattle? I think you mentioned this before, but I can't remember.
If you're hiring out about $350 a foot, that's about, and then you guys, you gotta be careful of build costs. $350 foot, plans, permits, everything out the door. We build them for about $300, $310 a foot. They were at $3.25. So the smaller the house, the higher the per square foot too. Because we build houses for about $285 right now. That's everything in there.
So if you have a land, you're gonna, you can construct, so we can approach you for construction. That's what you mean, or like what you do?
Oh no, but we do have a really cool thing we're rolling out about. This would be cool. I'm excited for this. We're putting all the pieces together to where you guys were out there looking for the good thing about dirt. Market froze out. Guess what happens? Builders flee.
Oh, yeah.
Dirt pricing has dropped 35 to 40% from 6 months ago. Lots that we were selling in Bellevue for 1.2 to 1.3 to builders are offering $750 now. Because they have so much inventory, they get freaked out, they don't want to move it. Same with these dadu sites. They were getting bid up so high. Now there's good opportunities. So we are out grabbing these right now. We're looking at them, we're analyzing them, and then we're working with 4 or 5 different cottage companies that we're putting together that we're going to be able to actually bring you a package and go, hey, you got to do your renovation here, but we have a company that will build this for you in the back. You got to hire them, manage them, and all these things. We'll have you a couple different quotes for it. So it's very turnkey. Because there's good money in those deals right now. Those are some of the best opportunities out there right now. Yep.
Have you been seeing that affect appraisal at all? Like I've heard sometimes they don't give you like the necessarily, I wouldn't say the full appraisal, but that it's not maybe as big a bump as you would think by having a dadu, or even sometimes an ADU.
Yeah, it depends on so if it's a bank, like if you want a crossed up loan, you're gonna use a local bank anyway. So they're gonna go off income, not appraisal. That's where people get screwed up. And so if you're getting a loan for the house and the dadu in one blanket loan, it's all debt coverage. So it's based on your income. And then they'll cost reference the comps. We have not had any with ours because we're running them individual comps. And then, I would say if people are running their numbers off the dadu numbers from beginning of the year, they're probably pretty. I mean, those came down. I mean, there's one selling in Greenwood for like $875,000. That's a ridiculous number. Those are now down to $725 where they should be. So those will be an issue. But what you can do, the beautiful thing about that plan, right? You got to get permits on this thing. So you can go buy it with a hard money loan, take it down, do the renovation, then refi that deal out, get your some of your cash back out, get a renter in there now to cover. As you get your plans and permits on that one, they can get the condo search, and then you can get a construction loan for the back data unit, right? And then build that out and then refi it that way. So it's a way to cut down your debt costs by the half. Our new cool calculator will also calculate this. So, yep.
There are some cities for ADU, they say owner occupied only can build the ADU, but some investors they are doing, even though city says owner occupied only can rent the ADU, but still people rent for.
Yeah, that's some of the South King County ones.
Yeah.
Honestly, we don't really focus on those. If a client comes in and says they want to do that there, those get complex. We try to stick with where the masses are. I think, Federal might be like that.
Even in Renton, they are saying the same.
Yeah, Renton's kind of like that. It depends if there's upzoning, right? Seattle upzone, they have upzoning charges, so they're fully allowed to do it. I know in Kirkland you can do it.
Yeah.
So it is kind of city specific. I would say if we're pitching that, we're not going to be pitching anything that has to do with owner occupied. Because also, if it's owner occupied, we can't put a hard money loan on that anyways. And so it's we wouldn't be pitching it. So we'll definitely be checking that out and verify that first. Yeah, there's a chunk of cities that are like that. I think is Tacoma like that too?
I don't know.
No, City of Tacoma is actually pretty good. They're allowing you, if you zone R2, they're allowing you two on the lot.
Yeah, if it's not zoned R2 though, I think they're pretty strict.
No, if it's R1, they're allowing you to do it unless it's like a strict historic residential area.
Okay.
And
But do you have to be owner occupied for the R1?
No, you actually
Okay.
don't. You don't have to live there.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think next year they said they're gonna change things around to where you can actually, what's it called when you separate the lot?
Conduit. Yeah.
You can have it can be sold as its own.
That's what it is in Tacoma. Yeah. And you guys, the condo is actually done through the county, not the city. And so, so you can get away a lot of the city issues.
So R2 in Tacoma is like not 2 houses in 1 acre. Like in King County, it's like R1 is like in 1 acre.
Each county and
So
city is
it's-
so
okay,
different. Yeah. Yeah. It's all, you guys, anytime you're talking about zoning, you got to verify per city. It all changes. And honestly, the cities are a headache to talk to. So you got to really dig in. Like we were looking at a site in Kirkland and we're like, oh, we can get 3-4 townhomes here. Turned out it was only 2. It had this, you can build a 40-unit apartment building, but they don't want you to put too many townhomes in. And like, we just kind of assumed, now granted, that's what feasibilities are for. And so it's, yeah, you got to watch out for it. Yeah.
How much help would you guys be if you have plans to build in the future?
If we have,
You're being involved with building homes.
Oh, we don't do anything like. Yeah, if we're doing the build, it's a lot of work, guys, and we have to run a lot of staff. People can invest with us in those projects, but we don't do it. I mean, we'll for like client, they want to build something, we'll refer them to some builders, but then it's kind of up to
I
them.
mean, like resource wise, would you guys would I be able to come to you and be like, can I get some advice? That type of thing.
Oh yeah, if we're getting a listing, because we do provide that service, you guys. If you have a deal elsewhere and you want us to come look at it and help with the specs, we'll do we'll give you the full service through, as long as we're securing the listing. Yeah, it's just that's how we pay our staff. So,
Yeah.
but yep, yeah, no, we can definitely help out. And you guys, we're expanding our department quite rapidly too. So, all right, we'll go to more success stories, and I'll wrap up so Intrust Funding can come in, and then we'll make it tight. Sorry, guys. Lots of questions. Good questions though. Seattle fourplex, something we just sold, $800,000. Cash investors 310, but the investors make it 10% on their money. A lot of cash there, good return. Burien, we had 2 side-by-side fourplexes. The client, we 1031'd out of her rental property. She sold 3 rental properties and bought 8 units. And she paid 1.96, which ended up being, she put $500,000 down, 25% down, but she's hitting a 12% return. Great buy. And then a Bothell duplex big fixer. This is a Burr style. Was $462. That's a hard price to find in Bothell. 16% cash on cash return, but you get at least 73 in the deal. So here's a little pitch. Traditional investments, average savings. I think that's up now. Let me update that. 0.05. I know treasury yields are like what T-bills are 4 right now. Yeah, we might have to tweak some of this. They're bribing you guys for your deposits. When your CD was 0.5%. So you guys, we target on our fix and flip properties 13 to 18% cash on cash return with no leverage. That usually equates out to about 30 to 55% on our short terms with a leverage in a 6 to 9 month period. So those are kind of how we analyze deals that way. So next steps, guys. Intrust funding is going to come up. We're going to talk about hard money real quick, and then we're all going to hang out until you guys want us to leave, or you guys want to leave, and we will answer as many questions as you want. But if you want to do business or sit down with us, you got to fill out that survey, because if you don't fill out the survey, we will not blow you up and call you. And so that's important. The concierge, once you fill out the survey, the concierge is going to call you. We're going to try to get a one-on-one schedule with you to figure out what your long-term goals and figure out what the plan is. We're going to get you pre-qualified, and then hopefully we're getting you right into a deal as soon as we hit those. For more information on free education, HeatonDainard.com is always pumping out stuff. Our Instagram's Heaton Dainard, Facebook's Heaton Dainard, and more for more construction tips and the investor stuff. JamesDainard.com, we got a bunch of stuff going on there now. Instagram is JDainFlips. That's probably the easiest one to catch me on, just doing weird stuff in the field. And then our YouTube channel. So you guys, we're really trying to pump out the free marketing. There's the link for the 101. This is good. Watch that. Cool. And we are going to hop into Intrust. They're going to talk about how to fund your deals real quick, and then
I'll go quick.
we'll wrap up. Yeah, what time is it? Did I go way over?
40-ish. 7:30.
Sorry, questions?
I'm Kyle, I'm with Intrust Funding. I will kind of go through this quickly so you guys can get to the Q&A. Kind of gone through a little bit of who we are. I'm just going to kind of touch on briefly what hard money is, some advantages, how to get pre-qualified with us, our basic loans, running through a scenario, and then we'll get some of the Jimmy back in here to answer questions. First of all, I mean, hard money we've been talking about kind of all night. It's a leverage tool. It's basically there to help you leverage investment property. So if you're buying something that you need to take down quickly with an all cash offer, you want to be able to lump that rehab amount in there. You're buying a wholesale deal, comes with an assignment fee. We'll take all those. So I always like to say that we are the sister company of Heaton Dainard. We do all their funding, but we do also work with outside deals. So anything in Washington State, we will lend on. Couple things about us. We do not require any appraisals. We underwrite everything in-house. So we're going to be looking at about 15 pictures of what the property looks like. I'm going to run you through an underwriting scenario in a second. No inspections on our draws. Funding is in as little as 48 hours. And then we offer the basic standard loan, purchase only, and rehab loan. So a little bit about hard money. I know it's kind of redundant, but it's a short-term loan. We will lend on a property for up to 12 months. We offer loans with no prepayment penalties, so you can exit at any time. It's an interest-only loan, so you are paying interest. There's nothing going to the principal. So again, it's a tool for leverage. Typically, these loans are out there. So with hard money, over the last couple of years, it's been kind of different. There's been a lot of soft monies that kind of come into the market. These are like brokers. So if you see companies out of California or back east, sometimes hedge funds, a lot of them are going to maybe have teaser rates, lower points, but they have bigger hoops to jump through. They have to be able to sell these loans off to a banking institution. So they're going to have that appraisal. They're going to have to do a full loan app on you. So the closing time can be 3 weeks, a month. Things can be changed at the last second. So they're tough to qualify for. So a local hard money lender like us is essentially us lending you the money, but you have us as the background. So you have Will and James basically underwriting these loans. I know that James talked about it earlier, that Will is the decision maker for the fund. With his experience, he's looking at each deal and giving his approval. So you have a little bit of feedback. So you might look at something and say, the scope of work doesn't make sense, or this doesn't make sense. So we're going to always give you as much education as possible. So you can bring us something that you haven't even tied up yet. I'm looking at this property. I think I want to offer this. The comps are maybe 650. My contractor's saying maybe 80K. What is your thought? So anytime we will run a complimentary analysis and say, here's our comps. Here's what we see from the pictures for a budget. Here's the time frame. Here's a good entry price. So we can kind of direct you on that. And once you're pre-qualified with us, we can write you a pre-approval letter 7 days a week. People call me at night. They text me on the weekends. So try to be always available. Right here, so we don't have an application. Very simple. To get pre-qualified with us, we need three things. Who's going to be on the loan? We need to know who's on the loan, so basic contact information, mailing address, phone number, email, borrower's information, proof of liquidity. So we need to have a bank statement. It can be a combination of bank statements. You might have a business account and a personal account. We just need to see your total liquidity and your name next to it. We don't need to have rolling bank statements or anything that a normal lender might need. The last thing is a copy of a credit report. We are not looking at debt to income ratios. We don't even ask you what you do for employment. We are simply verifying we need to see a 650 credit score or higher. So we have to have something with your score on it and your name. Once we have those three things, you are pre-qualified with us. What we're focusing on is 99% of what you're buying, what you're doing to it, and what is your exit strategy. So it's going to be either fix and flip or buy, rehab, and hold. To underwrite, again, we're looking for 15 pictures of the property. So a lot of times if it's on market property, we can pull those pictures off the MLS. If it's a wholesale deal, always make sure you were taking pictures or a video if you're walking through the property. I'm going to go over our fees in a second, but the nice thing about us is we don't charge any of our fees at closing. We roll all those into the loan. So again, everyone talks about 10% down lenders or different things like that. A lot of lenders or our competitors out there will charge the fees on top of the down payment at closing. So we charge 2 points minimum on a loan. So you have a $500,000 loan, that's $10,000. So rather than bringing $10,000 on top of your down payment, you now have a $510,000 loan with us. We've combined that fee into there. And then the rehab loan, it's probably our kind of bread and butter. We are the only ones that I know of that advance the first draw. So you have, say, a $100,000 budget. We're going to give you 4 draws of $25,000. You can customize that as much as you want to your project. The loan closes today. Tomorrow we give you $25,000 before you've even stepped foot in the property you just bought. So we're advancing that first draw. And I'm going to kind of go over how the subsequent draws go. I'm trying to go faster, guys. Any questions?
Yeah, when you talk about no inspections and stuff,
Mhm.
there's a lot of variables too. Like there's some like CapEx stuff you major, you just can't see. One of them like sewer problem, and that's no easy fit to get it fixed. And I mean, what kind of cushion is in there for the client when they run into stuff like that and they pull the trigger on a deal and then you find out you got a busted sewer? It's like an easy
So I mean,
60K.
most of our scopes of works that are coming in have a contingency in there. I mean, we're digging into the property. I mean, the property records, the pictures as much as possible. I mean, most people are doing some sort of inspection. Some people are buying, waiving inspection. Again, if it's on a septic, we might want to see that there has been something done, it's been pumped or checked. You know, if you have a foundation, if there's any remarks in there, we're going to want to see actual bid on that. So there are some things we might dig a little bit deeper in the underwriting process. Are you saying once you're into the property or like before you buy it?
Yeah, before you buy it.
So I mean, that's going to be solely
It's part of the
basically.
due diligence, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I mean, it's due diligence. Every project's a little bit different, but you know, our goal is to help you close this quickly. You know, I can't think of too many situations where we've run into that. Yes, sir.
Let's just say, just kind of piggyback.
And where I was going with the inspection, not to interrupt, is we're focusing the non-inspections on the rehab draws. Go ahead.
Oh, what happens if you ran over the rehab budget for whatever reason?
So I mean, basically, we don't do any seconds. So we do a first position loan. So we take the purchase price and the rehab and combine it into one. So I mean, our goal is to really run through this budget, one with our underwriter, who I'm gonna get to next, and then with Will's final approval to run through this and say, we got this type of house, this is the year built, this is what I can see right here. With my knowledge, I've been doing this for 17 years with James. This, and this should be here. These prices look low, this looks high, why? What's the material cost versus labor cost? Are you doing the work yourself? Who are you hiring? So these are all things that kind of firing Will's head the whole time. So, I mean, we're doing it for 13 years with pretty good results. Yeah. But to answer your question, we had an example today. Property in Aberdeen, he needs about $30,000 to finish. The only thing that we can do in that situation is do a refinance of our own loan. So he had about $17,000 left on his rehab budget. He needs an additional 30. So we don't do seconds. So basically it would cost him 2 points to refinance that loan, and we added in what he needed to do a brand new loan to finish the project. We don't like to see that. It's very rarely that we actually see that. We try to make sure, I mean, people come in with some very, very low budgets, and I've seen times we come back and say, we'll do this, but we'll only do it if we lend you $50,000. You're not going to be able to do this for $30,000. So this is basically the loan process here. So the loan starts with someone like myself. There's Carolyn and Monroe. So we'll basically take the loan. We get it to our underwriters. We put the file together. We have the set of photos, the walkthrough, the scope of work. Sean's job is to basically look at each property, analyze it, and put comps together. So basically what James has done for the properties you guys might be buying. So all this has happened on the back end. If you're buying a Heaton Dainard deal, this is more relevant if you're bringing us a deal. Once it's done with the underwriter, he puts his notes in it. He sends it to Will. Will runs through the deal again, giving his own perspective on it. He might say this deal qualifies for 15% down, 20% down. Can you please ask this question, or this question? Once it's approved, everything goes to Amanda, and we're moving on to funding the loan. So we offer two loans, a standard loan, which is a purchase only with you paying rehab out of pocket, and then we have the rehab loan. So it's purchase plus rehab. So all of our loans have basically the same terms and conditions. The down payments are going to range from 15 to 20%. The loan terms typically start between 5 and 12 months with no prepayment penalty. The loan fee is starting at 2 points and can go up. And where our down payment comes in is basically where we're looking at. We will lend up to 70% of the ARV. So it's not really dependent upon who you are as a borrower. It's dependent upon how the numbers lie. So if we take a purchase price and a rehab, and I will always shoot for the lowest down payment unless an investor wants to put more capital. Everybody's always shooting for the lowest down payment, but they don't realize the more money you put down, the less fees you're paying, the less interest. So there are some people that want to put a larger amount down because they have that capital. But I will always start in a calculator and calculate, okay, 15% down in this scenario makes the deal at, say, 72% loan to value. So then we have to say, okay, we're going to have to do a 20% down on this. Does that kind of make sense where that's coming from? So it's really structured on what's 70% of the loan to after repair value, and that's kind of our lending criteria. And that's where we want to be at for cushions for you to be able to be profitable in these deals at the same time. So the rehab loan, again, is the same concept. The difference is you're putting the purchase price and the rehab all into one loan. You'll see a lot of lenders do a first and a second. They'll hit you with points on both. Again, we don't do or allow any seconds. So this is just a quick example of the construction draw timeline. So if you were to be borrowing $60,000, I have always been a fan to do the most draws possible. Reason is you're getting money more frequently. If you were to take $60,000, you wanted 3 draws, we give you 20 at closing, 20 when you're 66% complete, and then 20 when you're 100% complete. It is tough in a lot of projects to take that first 20 and you get 66% complete. So I like to break that up. I mean, you can come back and say, every time I'm ordering materials, I would like to be reimbursed. You can really run it however you want. But in this scenario, we give you $20,000 at closing. You get 25% complete, we give you another $10,000. You get 50% complete, we give you another $10,000. Same thing for 75, same thing for 100. We're always holding back a small little portion to make sure that the project is complete. Sean's job, who is our portfolio manager, is to make sure that there is always enough funds in the reserves to finish the project. So how we do this is very, very simple. So we have an app. Unfortunately, not very many people use it, but hopefully more will soon. We send this form out when you first get started with us. It's also on our website. It is a draw request form. When you are ready to get started, you fund a loan with us. You're going to basically fill out your borrower information. Escrow will collect the account information that you want the wires to go into. We don't charge for any of our wires, so you can have as many wires as you want. You're going to simply put wire transfer, first draw, send. So you can have, say, $25,000 the day after the loan closes. When you come back for draw number 2, 3, 4, 5, a little bit more work is needed. You're going to select draw 2. In the description of work, you're going to basically explain what you have completed with that first set of funds that we gave you. And then right here, you're going to upload 15 photos of the project itself. So what our portfolio manager doing, he's looking at the original set of photos. He's looking at how much money you took in the first draw, and he's looking at your notes and your photos on draw number 2. Now that might be work completed, that might be payments to a subcontractor. It might be I've ordered XYZ materials and here's the receipt, but they're not on the job site yet, so I can't show proof. So there's a lot of different ways to show basically your progress. And we also have kind of milestones of the average $50,000 project, the average 100, the average 150. These are kind of the tiers of what items you should have completed within those to kind of give you a perspective of how often you can see that money. Does that kind of make sense on that? So we try to keep it very, very simple. Again, most lenders do it differently. Most lenders are going to make you hire a professional inspector either through their company or pay for one outside. You're going to have to wait 7 to 10 days on average for them to come out, verify the work's been done. Then they have to actually send the information back to the lender. Somebody there has to verify that you're eventually paid. The key is you're in hard money, you're paying interest every single day. So let's just say you're doing a 4-draw scenario like I just showed you for $100,000 and you're doing with another lender. And it takes 10 days per inspection to get your money. You're looking at 40 days of interest you just paid waiting on inspections. And you don't know, they might come out and say, I'm sorry, Kyle, we looked at this and it doesn't qualify. Call me back in 2 weeks when you've had this, and this done. So you're gonna have to pay the inspection fee again, wait again. So time is money in this. So it's as simple as you sending over photos. Now we might say we need to see this, and this done. We might say we can give you $10,000 today. When you get this and this done, we'll give you the other $15,000. But it's a heck of a lot simpler than having to pay, wait, schedule, drive out to the job site, and come back. So we try to really simplify it. Again, this is all based on the fact of Will and James doing this investing over the vast majority of the last 20 years and understanding Washington. That's why we don't do any loans outside of Washington State, because this is where their expertise is. They are more comfortable with their own knowledge of looking at pictures and projects and lending on them than relying on any software. So we don't use any fancy softwares other than MOS for comping. Everything's basically done with humans, which is kind of the opposite of how the world's going now, how things are being replaced. So this is kind of gives you a quick scenario of the 2 loans. I'm going to show you a flip calculator here in a second. So I still have this one up. We are re-updating everything for March. We're going to have all new slides and everything. Again, we are using Andy's example back there. I didn't know he was coming last month when I first used this, but this loan amount was rehab loan. So it was purchase price plus rehab. The total loan amount after the down payment was $721,829. He was doing a flip. We had the ARV at $1 million. This was the exit price. Again, it was sold in the peak, and he did put an extra chunk in. But again, he sold it for 1.35. So this performer here is only going to have the ARV at 1 million. So again, the profit on this would have been about 62,000. Again, the profit was $350,000 more of that minus Andy's money that he had in. James already talked about this, but I always like to hit on the same thing. Again, this is a leverage tool. Again, this deal is about $200,000, 32% cash on cash return. If buying with cash, you need $811,000 to slightly not even double your return there. So it shows you for $200,000, you could do this deal 4 times if you were sitting on $811,000. So again, hard money, everyone makes it sound so evil, it's expensive. It's truly a tool of leverage. You are making a higher return on the money you're putting out. You're borrowing more of the money from us. So it's just a cash on cash game. Try to go as fast as I could. Any questions? Now we'll get James back in here then. We'll move to this side.
Cool. Let's go. All right, guys. So it's been a long meeting. Hopefully everyone enjoyed it. So what we're going to do now, we're going to wrap up. I just want to remind everyone to fill out the surveys if you want to hear from us. And then we have our acquisition teams back here. Our lending guys are here. We'll hang out.